Hello, welcome to my healthy eating webinar. So what I'm going to do is I was going to talk about meal planning, but I have a couple of webinars that are on my YouTube channel that you can watch, and I go into depth on that in my VIP challenge group. So what I decided to do for this webinar is to really start at the basics. Remember when you're in college and you had like the 100 courses and then the 200 courses and then 300 and 400 as you got into your junior and senior year. So what I want to do is really start at the like 100 level. And so for a lot of people who are starting out, just the whole meal planning aspect and completely changing what they eat is pretty overwhelming. And I can talk. Hello, how are you? Who are you? I can't. Who is it?
Cindy Schmidt.
Oh, hi, Cindy.
Hi.
So I was just getting into explaining what I want to do here is I'm going to really start at the basics. I do talk about meal planning in depth with my VIP challenge group, and I also have a webinar on YouTube about it. But I kind of want to back up and start at kind of the 100 series level, if you're like back in college, because I think for a lot of people, just starting in the very beginning is very overwhelming, just like changing their whole diet, and when they're so used to doing years and years of what they're doing. So, and I've learned a lot over doing stuff myself. And so I have like 4 things that I wanted to go over that just very basic. If you do these, you're gonna improve your health. So, and the first one is one that I just like, I never understood why people used to tell me to drink more water. And I think when you understand why you're supposed to drink more water, it really makes you want to drink more water. So, I've been studying it actually. I have this book that is amazing. It's called Super Life, The 5 Forces That Will Make You Healthy, Fit, and Eternally Awesome. And I've been quoting some of the stuff on my Facebook page, but the 5 life forces are, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but nutrition, hydration, oxygenation, alkalization, and detoxification. So actually I'm going to talk about 2 of them. I'm going to talk about hydration and alkalization as like the four things. So basically water, I just want to say that water, your body is over 70% water. Actually it goes down. You start at birth at 75% and then it goes down to I'm going to mute you just so you don't have to worry about being, I think I can do that here. But if you want to say something, you can just like chat. I don't know if you can chat on the phone. Oh, anyways, you're not noisy. I'll leave it. So anyways, our bodies are almost primarily water. And so, and this is really funny because you don't even realize your fingernails are water, your organs makes more sense, but your organs are your muscles are 70% water, your organs obviously, fat, bones. Your bones, you think your bones as being hard, they're 22% water. So your brain and your nervous system. So, sometimes you don't think about your nervous system, but being like not having enough water affects your brain your brain's ability to function. So one of the things that happens when you don't get enough water is that this thing called cell dehydration happens. And basically a lot of people have, basically a chronic condition of this. So basically when you're in cellular dehydration, your cells don't have enough water to operate normally. And so your digestive system suffers, what happens is your body actually becomes more acidic. And I'll get into that a little bit, why you don't want to be acidic. I'll get into that a little, but 2 major problems happen when you don't have enough, when you have cellular dehydration. One is cancer and one is hypertension. So we all know cancer is bad, but the hypertension is basically when it has to do with your blood vessels restricting, and so that's not very good. So like common ailments from not having enough water, and I hear this a lot when I start working with people in my group. In my groups, I hear, I'm bloated. And for, the longest time, I was like, okay, well, just give it a few days. I didn't know enough about all about cellular dehydration. But one of the chronic conditions is bloating. And I know for myself, I used to get really bad stomach aches before I started drinking Shakeology and getting on the healthy track. And so I used to get these, they would be debilitating stomach aches, but I get them like maybe once a month, and I like be keeling over in pain. Well, now on occasion, I'll get a little tummy ache. It'll start, and I will just guzzle like my whole thing of water, and presto changeo, it's gone. My stomach ache is gone. So, a lot of times when we're bloated and we have a tummy ache, we don't think, like the last thing we think is I want to put stuff in my mouth, because you're just going to feel like more bloated. But actually what water does is it flushes stuff out of you. So, the other things besides bloating, digestive distress, chronic pain, migraines, depression, arthritis, joint pain. That's another thing. My knee hurt all the time. I had surgery on my knee, and I never even related it to like the fact that I might not have been drinking enough water. And I have no joint pain anymore. Also skin problems. So for people who have, my husband has a problem with eczema, and, I think it's water related, and I harp on him, but you know how men are, so you can't even go there with them sometimes. But one of the quotes I loved that from the book that I'm is, maybe your body is sick because it's a desert inside. So I thought that was a great quote. But the other thing is, I also thought about, one of the things he talks about is doctors, and that doctors aren't trained properly. They're trained to medicate. They're not trained to, hey, I've never had a doctor, when I've gone in, I've never had a doctor say, how much water do you drink? Not one single time have I ever had somebody say that. And he recommends the first meal of the day be a big glass of water, and that you should put, he crystallized, I don't know if you've heard of Himalayan salt, excuse me. So Himalayan salt is like this kind of more naturalized, like the regular table salt that you get is very processed. So Himalayan salt is like unprocessed salt. So you basically put salt and cayenne pepper and a squirt of lemon juice, real lemon juice, not the fake kind. You put that in your water and you drink that in the morning, and that's your kind of your first meal of the day. So, so that is, I can't stress enough that the first thing you need to do is make sure if you drink enough water, then great. Then this section is like, you can ignore this section. But most people don't drink enough water, including me. So I recently started this because I would lose track of how much water I had. So this is 16 ounces. You need to drink half of your body weight in ounces in water. So I weigh about 130 to 135. So basically I need at least 70 ounces. So this is 16 ounces. So I always drink like 8 ounces when I get up in the morning. I drink water like Darren says to do. And then I fill this 4 times a day at least. So I'm like on my second. So I have these rubber bands that I put around here. So when I go to pour my 3rd cup, I will slide this up here. And I try to always have my 2 drank before noon. I will say that today I drank a whole thing of water at brunch. So I am actually on my 3rd, but I'm still just counting this. I'll just have like a whole extra thing of water today. So, but I'm thirsty right now. And another interesting tip about when your brain has lots of water in it, as do your organs, but your brain is very selfish. And so what happens is your brain steals water from all the other organs first. And it's not until your brain needs water, which means your body is way past being dehydrated. So by the time your brain says, I'm thirsty, and you feel that thirstiness in your throat, then you are way dehydrated. So you should never feel thirsty, basically. If you feel thirsty a lot, you're not drinking enough water. So the other thing is your pee should be clear. If your pee is yellow, you're not drinking enough. I guess if you're on medication that makes it yellow, you can have it be yellow. But all right, so number 1 is drink more water. Okay, very basic. Number 2 is you need to eat more whole and raw vegetables. I know this is really hard for people who don't like vegetables. I am somebody who never liked vegetables. So one of the things that you can do is hide vegetables in shakes. So like Shakeology is what I drink. You can make your own shake too. Basically, if you put a cup of spinach in a shake, it doesn't really change the flavor as long as you have other stuff in there like fruit. So I've learned to love salads. I have a fresh big salad every day for lunch. And what I've learned to do is I've learned nuts. You know, you have to be careful with nuts. You don't want too many nuts because nuts are very high in calorie, but nuts are a healthy fat. So I started roasting my own pumpkin seeds. I buy them at Fresh Market. And I just learned this technique, and it's super, super easy. I just throw a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds in a little, a little pan. You don't put oil in it or anything. You dry and you put them on there and they pop. They start popping. Put them on medium heat, and within like 3 minutes, they're done. You just pop, 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 and you like flip them a little bit. Just make sure you don't get too dark on one side. Keep them get them kind of evenly browned, and then you put them on your salad, and then you put salad dressing. It goes, because the nuts are hot, but the nuts really give it a good flavor. And then you can also add, if you are non-vegan, you like grilled chicken or grilled salmon or something like that, that will add a flavor. I used to always need protein on my salad, but since I started doing the nuts thing, and then I put avocados on, avocados are a great thing to have. I really can't eat a salad without avocado anymore. So I just love it. And I make my own salad dressing. So that's another key thing. You need to make sure that you have really good salad dressing that isn't high in fats and high in like sugars. That's a big thing. So eating more whole and raw foods, and try to buy organic. What I thought was interesting is he said it's better to get frozen organic vegetables than it is to buy non-organic vegetables that have come from far, far away. A lot of the food we buy, the produce we buy, is not local and is not fresh. And it comes from very far away. So maybe it was picked 2 weeks ago. So it was picked before it was ripe, and then it's traveled all this distance. So just try to be aware of, what you're eating that's fresh and what you're eating that's processed, because you want to reduce the processed food. And by processed, that means things that are made in the factory, things that don't come going to a butcher is an example of that's fresh, usually local. You can, and make sure it's grass fed. You don't want all the problems that the animal had that is now you're putting in your mouth, the antibiotics that it was on, the processed grain that it was given and eaten. So that's why pigs and like bacon and ham and all that is really not a good thing to eat, because pigs are usually don't eat right. So number 2 is eat more whole and raw foods as much as you can. All right. Number 3 is kind of my big, I guess, my bandwagon is artificial sweeteners. So I used to have Splenda every single day. And now I won't even touch Splenda. It's like, to me, poison. I started drinking coffee black. Just if there's no available good sweetener, then I will just drink it black. And I used to have cream in my coffee too. So I actually stopped drinking coffee. I don't drink very much coffee anymore. I will have it on occasion. But so there's other kinds of sweeteners. Stevia is an all-natural sweetener. You can get it in packet form, or you can get it in dropper form. So the stevia is much sweeter. I didn't like stevia for a really long time. It just had a different taste, but it's an acquired taste. So if you commit to like drinking stevia in your coffee for a couple of weeks, you will like it after a couple of weeks. It's just adapting and getting used to that different flavor. But it's like a packet of stevia is like 2 packets of sugar or 3. I mean, it's like really, so when I use it, I use a half a packet when I use stevia. So, you can use honey. You just have to be careful that you don't put too much in because it's got a lot of calories. Agave nectar I had that. I actually went from Splenda to agave nectar because I thought that was really healthy, but agave nectar is somewhat processed. So I stopped doing agave nectar, went to honey, and then finally landed with stevia. So that's what I do. When I need a sweetener, I do stevia. So artificial sweetener, you need to get rid of it. It's honestly, it's like growing cancer cells, in my opinion. I am just harp on it because you just don't want to put that stuff in your body. You don't know what it's doing inside there. Not good things.
What town is she?
Excuse me?
Yeah. It's got to be, what other town would there be in Spring?
I can't hear you. What was that? Can you, I don't think you can type it. Well, maybe you can post that in the group so I can answer it when you have a chance. So I can't, you're breaking up, so I can't hear you very well. So soda is, that falls into that category because it's got, dyes, it's got the artificial sweeteners in it. So there is nothing good about soda. And I don't know if people are aware, but there is a high incidence of pancreatic cancer from people who drink soda. So, sometimes you wonder why all the prevalence of this stuff in our world today. Well, it's because of the crap that we eat. And so artificial sweeteners, soda, nip that in the bud. That is the one thing you just really need to, if you're going to do anything, get rid of that. And, so replace your sodas with water and start learning how to drink water. Some people don't like water, but you can put fruit in water. You can put, I'm not a big lemon person. I'm trying to learn to like lemon because lemons, it alkalinizes your system. But, cucumbers are really good. You could just if you have a water pitcher, just get a filtered water pitcher, put it in your refrigerator, throw some cucumbers in it. It's really tasty. So you can do some do-it-yourself ways to flavor your water to make it taste better. And so the last thing is alkalization. So I knew nothing about alkalization until I heard about it. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar in the fall, and almost a year ago. And Tony Robbins is a big, huge health advocate. I mean, he doesn't eat sugar, he doesn't drink coffee, he doesn't drink alcohol. Part of his no alcohol thing is because his parents were alcoholics. So that there's some history there. But so basically the way you can measure the pH of your system, but one is there's what do you call it? A line, a range, right? So 1 is very acidic, 14 is very alkaline. And so you want to be close to the middle, 7 or maybe a little above 7. You want to be a little more alkaline than acidic. So that's, there's
12.
Excuse me?
They should be here within a half hour.
Hey, Penny, can you mute your, oh, here, I got you. Gotcha. So basically, when you're overly acidic, you are suppressing enzymatic, your enzymes you're basically impaired. So you have a hard time metabolizing what you eat. And so what happens as a result, your tissues and your membranes become more inflamed and irritated. So cancer cells are very highly acidic. So the more acidic the more acidic your body is, the more cancer cells will thrive. So cancer cells don't like a highly alkaline system. So that's why you want to eat the foods that you can. So one of the things, like caffeine is highly acidic. Alcohol is highly acidic. And what Darren was saying in the book is, I'm not saying that everybody has to stop this stuff, but if you're doing that stuff, you need to eat more things that are alkaline to balance out the acidity. So I hate using my husband as an example, but he has acid reflux. Well, acid reflux, it means it's your body's response to being highly acidic. But he won't listen to me. So, it is what it is. He's on medication for it. And it's frustrating to me because I know that he can heal himself through eating the right food, but he won't eat the right food. So, but basically, and the prescription medicines that you're on for acid reflux actually make your system more acidic. So they help the symptoms of acid reflux, but they're not making your system less acidic. So, which is even worse because it's disguising what your body's trying to tell you. So things that will make, the things you want to avoid if you don't want an acidic system are, like I said, nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, prescription medications. Sugar is a big thing, and that's what my husband's problem is. Meat, fish, processed foods, and refined grains, like, white bread, things like, refined flour, coffee additives. And another thing that makes your system, this is kind of funny, another thing that makes your system acidic is not enough sleep and too much stress in your life. So for instance, like worrying. So worrying is one of the worst things you can do. And so that's why meditation is so good, because it calms the mind, relieves the stress. And so that is really things that help with will make your body more pH balanced, is that's what you want. You want to be pH balanced. Brightly colored and raw vegetables, avocados, almonds, and cold pressed oils like extra virgin olive oil. I make everything with that. So, and then lemons and limes. So that's why it's really important. You like to put lemon in your water because that is really good for you. So that's pretty much what alkalization is all about. So, so I just wanted to start with the basics, just these are things that you can do the bottom line is if you're overweight, if it's not a medical problem like a bad thyroid, then it's a matter of calories in, calories out. So I learned this when I started 3 years ago, and I learned that, I just was eating too many calories. Our portion sizes have gotten out of control. I wasn't eating a well-balanced meal. I was eating way too many carbs and not enough vegetables. So, vegetables are great because you can eat more of them, and they're less calories. The problem is that when people eat vegetables, they usually put high caloric salad dressing on them, high caloric bread, crumbs or bread. What are those things? Croutons.
Hi, Lori.
They usually put high caloric cheese on there. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody pile up stuff at a salad bar, but those things are a caloric, disaster. I mean, they're filled with calories. So, so that's why I'm all about making your own salad dressings, because you know exactly what's going into them. I have this great salad dressing. I got it from a cleanse, but it's red wine vinegar, lemon, honey, and olive oil. And I have it every single day on my salad. It's so yummy. But the thing that I did when I first started, when I realized I really need to get a handle on this, when my younger daughter was, I was going looking for dresses for the wedding, and I was like, holy whatever. And so my other daughter was losing weight after she had had a baby, and she had gotten this app called Lose It. Very similar to MyFitnessPal. They're very similar. and you could actually take your phone and you could like scan the barcode, and it automatically knew how many calories were in that. So all you had to do is plug in how much you ate of it. And so it would calculate how many calories every day, and you could put in a goal of how many calories. So doing the basics for me, meal planning is a whole nother thing, and we can get into that, how to put together the right portions, how to balance out the food groups, but counting your calories with an app, a free app, and increasing your water intake, reducing the artificial sweeteners, and and introducing more whole and raw foods, and then making sure your body's kind of not acidic. They're just, to me, the basics. That's where you start. And that those things that if you can apply those, you'll start feeling better. Because a lot of this is about not feeling well too. I mean, people are feeling crappy because the food, their bodies are not operating at the maximum. Their bodies are struggling with this junk that's inside of them. He goes into, Darren in this book goes into a lot of, how, people compare to what we do now with, the people like our ancestors. So you think about people, the caveman days, go out and hunt meat. And people always say, well, they used to eat meat back then. Well, they couldn't go, it wasn't on demand, right? They couldn't go to a grocery store and get the protein whenever they wanted. They went days without eating protein. So that protein had to get them over periods of time. And in the periods of time, they had, plants they were eating and nuts they were eating. And so we have this overload of protein. We have this overload of, sugary, starchy things that they didn't even have back in the day. So our bodies are just not, we're not feeding them the proper, it's like Autumn Calabrese said this. She's the 21 Day Fix creator. She said, so it's like, you have a Ferrari, right? And would you put like bad fuel in a Ferrari and expect it to like run well? So if you think of our bodies like that, those whole foods, raw vegetables, water, and reducing the acidity is all things that are going to make our bodies run to their optimum levels. So anyways, all right. So I think I'm on my bandwagon, but I will say to you guys, this is stuff that I've learned. It's not something that did I lose my connection? It's not something that I knew. It's just all stuff that I've learned and have and continue to learn and research, because I find it so fascinating. So anyways, if you have any questions, comment below and I'll answer them. And I hope you found this helpful. So I hope you learned something. Thanks.